The march towards liberty starts right now. This is Freedom Watch. Good evening and welcome to Freedom Watch. I'm Charles Payne. Judge Napolitano, he'll be back tomorrow. Tonight on the docket, Greece and the United States, a tale of two countries on the brink of fiscal disaster. Today, riots rocked Athens as violent anti-austerity protesters were met by police armed with grenades and tear gas. In just a few hours, Greece will vote on a 5-year, almost $40 billion austerity package. Could we be next? Might our government wait until it's almost too late to fix what fiscal damage has been done? If there's movement in the debt talks, then perhaps those kind of hostilities there won't happen here. But I shouldn't speak too soon. The president who yesterday joined the debt talks, well, he's going to Iowa today, and tomorrow he'll only meet with Senate Democrats. Maybe he's ready to take his ball and go home when it comes to the debt ceiling game. Just today, the president's spokesman admitted the White House has stopped pushing an income tax increase for upper income earners as part of the debt ceiling talks. But what about the other taxes? And U.S. Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner said Congress will likely take action this summer on the debt ceiling. So that's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Here now to discuss is New York Republican Congressman Michael Grimm. Michael, let's start with this. A lot of rumors out there, a lot of speculation. Feels like the tax on so-called millionaires, $250,000 household earners, is off the table. But was that just a negotiating point in the first place? Was that really ever something that you think the Democrats felt like had to be part of an ultimate solution?
Oh, absolutely. I think they were adamant about it. Sure, absolutely. There's no question. It's something that they have been pushing for quite some time, and something I'm personally, as well as the Republican conference, was dead against. It just doesn't make sense to raise taxes on the very people and the very entities that we're looking to create the jobs, especially in this economic environment.
So what tax increases now that are near and dear to the Democrats do you think are off limits that they must have in order to have a compromise?
Well, I don't think there are any increases at all. We've said that from the beginning. Now's not a time in this very fragile beginning of a recovery, but it really hasn't recovered. So in this environment, we can't be raising taxes if we want to create jobs.
The Democrats, you think, will cave completely across the board on taxes, period?
Well, what I think they'll do is try a little political positioning. And what I mean by that is Republicans have said for quite some time now that we do need to close some loopholes. You know, there are corporations out there that don't pay any taxes. That's unfair. That's ridiculous. So we do need to simplify our tax code and get rid of some of the loopholes and exemptions that shouldn't be there in the first place. And, you know, that was, as much as they demagogued and demonized Paul Ryan's budget plan, that was part of the plan. So I think they may want to take credit for part of that and say, well, we're going to close these loopholes and get rid of some of these exemptions, when in fact those were Republican ideas that we put forward.
Well, speaking of Republican ideas, this is ultimately going to be some sort of compromise. What do you think the GOP is going to have to give up that they really don't want to give up?
Well, again, I think the real negotiation comes down to the number. They need us to raise the debt ceiling. So let's say that number for the purpose of this conversation is $2 trillion. Well, for Republicans to vote for it, that means we have to have at a very minimum $2 trillion in cuts and more. And I think the real negotiation is what is that more? And whatever that number is, I think our leadership will negotiate to the best of their ability.
During the lame duck session, there were some negotiations and there were some deals that were struck. And the numbers that we were hearing, you know, the X amount of billions, as we started to learn about it, they really dwindled. In other words, could we expect real tangible spending cuts, or will it be the sort of mathematical stuff that doesn't really actually impact our deficit problems?
No. This time I can tell you the conference is unified and they are standing very, very strong. Republicans really are going to take their stand here because it's the fate of the country. There is no more road to kick the can down. This is the time and the place to finally step up and do what is right for America. That's why I was elected. That's why the new freshmen, 87 new Republicans, were elected to do and put the country first, to do the job. That's what we're there to do, and that's what we're going to do, and we're going to stand firm on this. I can tell you, we're not going to back down because it's equivalent of maxing out your credit cards and then not even paying your minimum due on them. We need to cut the credit cards. America has an addiction to spending. We need to deal with that. We are spending money we don't have, and that is jeopardizing our ability to keep our country safe and to move forward.
And this addiction, by the way, has been held by both parties for a long time. And it felt like for a while there, maybe it sounds like now, you know, you sound very confident that maybe there was even some dissension within your own party on how to go about this. But you're saying it's a united front. line in the sand, no tax hikes, and we will cut spending.
And I think you also have to have entitlement reform, because if you're going to have a serious conversation about our debt crisis that is looming, there's no question about that. Both sides of the aisle accept that we are laden with $14.3 trillion debt. If we're going to give future generations the opportunities that we had, then we have to deal with the entitlement issue, and I think that's part of this package, and it has to be part of this package.
When you say entitlements, are you talking about the third rail stuff, defense, Medicaid, Medicare, and Social
Well, defense
Security?
I wouldn't say is an entitlement. I would say Medicare in particular, and that is a third rail. But we didn't get elected to take the expedient way out, the typical political way out, which is kick the can down the road, talk about the issue a little bit, but not really do anything about it. We have to deal with entitlements because Medicare is going broke. I can't look the seniors in the eyes and tell them that they may not have their Medicare in 9 to 12 years.
I want to quickly switch gears because I talked about dissension within the ranks of Republicans. Lately, there's talk about Republicans being isolationist. And you recently had a quote where you said, I think we're going to put it on the screen, if we can achieve our mission with less spending and fewer troops, then we should start bringing our soldiers home. Although you had also mentioned in an interview earlier that success over in Afghanistan is fragile and reversible. Where do you stand, where do the Republicans stand with respect to America's role in the world now? Should we be isolationists or what should we be?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of being isolationist. I think it's a matter of being prudent and being practical. We have to accept the fact that as the United States, we do have limitations. Right now, we have to get our fiscal house in order. We have to deal with some of our domestic policies. And quite frankly, having served in combat with the United States Marine Corps, I can tell you, I think our military has been stretched. And multiple tours, 17, 18, 19-year-olds doing 2, 3, 4 tours. That's not healthy for our military. So we have to be realistic. That doesn't mean we don't remain to be the beacon of hope and freedom for the world, but we have to be practical about our own limitations, and we do have to be pragmatic about what we can do in light of the fact that we have a looming debt crisis and we have a fiscal house to get in order.
Two important words, practical and pragmatic. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Congressman Michael Grimm, appreciate it.
Thank you. Good
Thanks
to be
a lot.
Here.